Hello and welcome back to another STEM video with Mr. Ethan and the Boys and Girls Club of Dane County. Today we're doing the floating egg experiment. Before we start, remember, ask your parents for help and make sure you have a safe area to complete your experiment in. If you remember back and watched any of my Epsom salt experiments or my lava lamp experiment, we talked a little bit about density. So when we did the Epsom salt experiment, we mixed salt with water to create those salt crystals because we created that saturated solution out of the water and the salt. In our lava lamp experiment, we talked about density of liquid. So when we put the oil and the water together, the oil rose to the top and the water sank to the bottom. Now we're going to do that with a liquid, which is our water and salt solution, and we're going to do it with a solid object, which is our egg. So what you need for the experiment today is your hot water, your salt, a glass. You can use a drinking glass. I have a glass from our coffee maker, and then we have tongs, and we have an egg. So first off, we're going to start with our control. So that means we're going to do the experiment first without adding any salt in. So what you want to do is you want to take your glass and pour water into that glass until it's about halfway full. And then, as you see, when we drop our egg in that water, the egg will sink to the bottom. Now the egg sinks to the bottom because the water isn't very dense right now. When we add this salt later, we're going to create a denser water and the egg will end up rising to the top. So I'm going to take the egg back out. And now we're going to take that salt and we're going to put quite a bit of salt in our water. And we're going to mix it. And try to use hot water if you can. Hot water will work better because it helps dissolve the salt in the water. Gonna add just a little bit more salt. And what we're doing right now with the salt is we're creating that saturated solution that we created in the Epsom salt experiment. So when we add the salt, it dilutes in the water and it makes that water more dense. And now that we have the salt mixed in with the water, we can put our egg back in the water. And as you can see now, it's kind of hard to see, but the egg is now floating at the top of that water. Because we added the salt to the water and diluted it within the water is now more dense. So that egg can't displace that water anymore. So that means it's gonna float at the top. We're gonna do another portion of this experiment, but next we're gonna add the salt first to make it a little more easy to see what's happening. All right, so I have dumped out that salt water solution we had in our glass. And we're gonna do the experiment in reverse now. We're gonna add the salt first. So I added about a cup of salt to this beaker. And obviously when we put the egg in, that egg cannot sink to the bottom because the salt is there. But now when we add the water and dissolve the salt, and make that solution we made earlier, and now that we've mixed that water back into the salt, we can put our egg in the water. And as you see, the egg floats easily. And that's because all of that salt is still there. That salt that was blocking the egg from dropping to the bottom, that salt's there. It's just we added the water to dissolve the salt in the water. So that salt is still there, mixed in with the water, and it's preventing this egg from sinking to the bottom. But what happens when we add more water? We're gonna make this water less dense. When we add more water, you can see that the egg has sunk. And when we add that water, we're creating more volume. So there's less salt in the water, making it less dense, allowing that egg to sink towards the bottom. Thanks for following along today. I hope you had fun doing this experiment. Make sure you share your creations on the Families of the Boys and Girls Club of Dane County Facebook page. And if you want to inspire your inner scientist, try this experiment with something else. Try it with sugar or flour, other ingredients in your kitchen, and then report back to us. What happens? Does the egg float or does it sink? I hope everyone has a nice, safe weekend or week, depending on when you see this video. Stay safe and be well, everyone.